Good afternoon. We're Deborah Cornell and Richard Cornell. We're based at Boston University in the US. Thanks for tuning in. Today we'll talk about our collaborative work, the installation Breath. In this installation, we consider the immense forces that shape the world. The work addresses the vast expanse of ocean and air, and especially the invisible production of oxygen into the atmosphere by ubiquitous plankton in the oceans. This phenomenon sustains all human life, but may be threatened by planetary warming and by changing ocean chemistry. Breath presents simultaneous worlds where our daily reality depends on complex underlying influences. Breath is a very large-scale two-channel looping video event with immersive sound installed in a physical space where viewers can gather. Its full experience requires human presence in order to activate the interactive systems that transform its layers. In contemporary settings, there are many recent environmentally charged installations with which our work has a relationship. One of our favorites is Unmoored from 2018 by Mel Chin, an American artist. This is a mixed media augmented reality installation in New York's Times Square that imagines the city flooded from climate change and submerged by rising ocean tides. Another of our favorites is by Iceland's Olafur Eliasson. His piece, Ice Watch, is presented here outside the Tate Modern in 2018. Eliasson engages urban viewers by transporting large pieces of melting glacial ice from Greenland's fjords to the inner city, and he confronts viewers within their own space with the immediacy of climate change. Our own newest work, Breath, involves the invisible relationship of the world's oceans to our own bodies in the form of the vast oxygen exchange in which we participate with each breath. The stimulus for this new work came from a single fact that we encountered about ocean plankton in the literature from the Scripps Institute of Oceanography. Phytoplankton are microscopic plant organisms that can photosynthesize, and they're estimated to produce around 50% of all oxygen on Earth. We couldn't stop thinking about this huge connection, and so we began to research aspects of this oceanic activity, its relationship to other types of oxygen production, and its importance to human breath. Phytoplankton contain chlorophyll. In the presence of sunlight, they consume carbon dioxide and release oxygen like terrestrial plants do. We inhale that same oxygen and then exhale CO2, returning it to the atmosphere. This invisible and inevitable relationship became the central theme of Breath. As it developed over many months, this work took the form of a two-channel interactive video with sound. There are primary and secondary video channels. In the primary channel, a still motif appears behind all frames, with solar and aquatic forms connecting air and water. Over this motif run the active sequences of the primary video. They begin with aerial views from the International Space Station showing the curvature of the Earth. They progress to tidal imagery, to air and human presence, including emblematic representations of human culture. These sequences involve images from archaic cultures, a figure from the Greek Erechtheion, the deluge drawings of Leonardo, and human hands, all of which represent the ways humans express and relate to their environment.
The critical elements of breath and breathing were more difficult. We introduced rhythmic, darkened passages into the video to represent pulsing breath. Other video sequences are of tidal creep, severe lightning storms, and consuming flame. These create a shifting narrative, one that eventually returns to the ocean and suggests the projected dead zone consequences of acidification and ocean warming. The secondary video runs concurrently with the primary one. We created a parallel world of floating plankton. It's visible only when triggered by human movement, sensed by an installed infrared sensor. We developed these phytoplankton sequences using scanning electron microscope images, animated as a particle system. When activated, the rising plankton overwhelm the first video as shown here. They then fade over several seconds. The sound element of the installation was developed from field recordings of atmospheric, terrestrial, and marine sounds, extensively processed and mixed in a spatialized format similar to Dolby Atmos that further extends the sense of immersion. Weather-related sounds such as rain, wind, and thunder merge with the roar of wildfire and the percussive cracks of snapping shrimp, the wing beats of birds, human breathing, and voices. The dimensional soundscape is drawn from environments, from intimate to the vast. The looping form of the work, with its unpredictable shifting rhythms, implies simultaneous multi-layered systems of differing scales, such as planetary rotation, tides, and breathing. The goal of breath is a visceral sense of the invisible rhythmic breathing in and out of the world that contains us. In this online remote setting today, we can't effectively duplicate the actual scale and effect of this work. Its progressive structuring needs to be experienced in person. But to conclude, we'd like to show you a short 3-minute excerpt from this work.